Welcome to Scrapbooking Made Simple. Today we are going to work with distress oxides and heat embossing. So the first thing that you will need to do is to find or choose a decorative cardstock that you are happy to be the background of your page. So instead of having plain cardstock as your background, we're going to use a decorative piece of cardstock. And we are going to place some white cardstock over the top of that. So cut your white piece of cardstock at 6.5 inches by 12 inches, and that will sit in the middle of our decorative paper. So once you are happy with the design and how it sits, we are going to stamp onto the white cardstock and heat emboss. The great thing about the distress oxide being a pigment and dye fusion is that it stays wet for longer. So it takes a little while to dry, and that it gives you the opportunity to emboss using the ink without having to use an embossed ink over the top. So I've chosen to use a clear embossing powder in this example, but if you have a coordinating distress glaze, you may want to use that instead. It is up to you. So I'm just using the glassware stamp from the Blooming Couture Creations Blooming Friendship Collection. I'm going to stamp the images in random spots on the background of this white page, doing 2 or 3 stamps at a time. Just so the ink doesn't dry out, especially because there's not very much ink involved in this particular stamp. But it really doesn't matter what stamp you use, just something coordinating with the papers that you've chosen to use. So once you shake on some embossing powder, putting the excess back into the jar, heat setting it. And you'll continue this process until the white cardstock is either completely covered or you're just happy with how many stamped images you have on the background. So once you have your cardstock, you can start embossing. So I'm just using a Once you have finished your heat embossing, you're going to place your white cardstock on the decorative cardstock, and we can adhere that to the middle. We can also just get everything else ready prior to, if we wanted to. It's up to you. So because of the particular stamp that I used, I chose to paint in the images to fill in those glasses full of whatever you would prefer to be there. Just adding some Distress Oxide ink to your craft mat and spritzing with some water, and then grabbing a paintbrush and painting in all of those images. So this is an optional extra thing to do, because your stamped image that you choose to use may not require this, but it's just a fun way of using your distress oxides in a different way. And being that the image is embossed, the colour stays well within the stamped image. Once all the embossed images are painted, if you've chosen to do that, we are going to prepare all of the other elements for the layer. So we'll cut some plain cardstock for a photo mat. So just out of what is left from the white cardstock that we cut down, so just cutting a 4.5 by 5.5 photo mat. And I've chosen to place it on the right hand side in the middle of the layout. But that is completely up to you as to where you place them, or you may want to add extra photos onto the layout as well. So then got another decorative paper from the Blooming Friendship collection. This is paper 4, and just cut down a mat to go underneath the white cardstock at 4 3/4 by 5 3/4. Just sort of playing around with as to if I add more layers or if I'm happy with that, and then as to the location of the white photo mat, because you'll find as we go later on that I move it slightly to the right so it's butting up against the decorative cardstock. So just fussy cutting elements or using pre-cut ephemera ready to go to add just a little bit of pop and dash of colour to your page. And then once you've completed all of those, adding a sentiment and then adding a photo to finish. So have fun creating the rest of your layout, and we will see you soon. hope you have enjoyed creating this scrapbook layout today. We look forward to seeing you next time.